Hi, I'm Nina Schur here again today with our week 2 of our pre-holiday cleanup challenge. And I hope everybody's been working on that, dealing with the kitchen, getting it ready in time for the holidays, cleaning the counters, the cabinets, getting rid of old dishes and all those plastic containers that you don't have the lids for and things like that, refrigerator, your moldy and expired food, and of course the pantry or wherever you store your other food. And as I mentioned last time, we are lucky enough to have a special guest here today, and it's Patty McGee. And Patty is a certified health coach, but she has 30 years of experience as a registered nurse and master of nursing and worked at Sloan Kettering and in the administration of the Cancer Care Center at St. Peter's Hospital. So she has really a fantastic background in all kinds of food-related issues, among other things, and she's going to give us some really great tips about what should stay and what should go in your pantry or food storage area for a healthier living. So, Patty, take it away.
All right, thank you, Nina. Thanks for having me today. So I want to go through some common items that you have in your pantry. We'll look at some of the labels, but one of the first rules I try to teach my clients is to think of food as real whole food, not processed food, and not food that can stay on your shelf for a long period of time or in your cabinet for a long period of time. So things like fruits and vegetables and real whole grains and seeds and nuts, things like that. So for example, these items here, these are two very common items that people would purchase off the shelf of the grocery store and maybe open it and use it once to make some cookies or some breakfast foods, and then it sits on the shelf for a couple of months before it gets looked at again. And that's very common, but you always want to check an expiration date. As you go through your pantry this week, anything that has an expiration date, you want to throw it away.
Right.
If you have items that are still okay for a period of time, you can think about donating them. But anything that's opened and is full of processed ingredients, we want to throw away and not feel guilty about it, because we're going to move on to some.
And of course, this is all from my pantry, but all right.
So these two items you might think are very healthy. Rolled oats are a healthy food choice, but these have been highly processed and stripped of all of its good nutrients. Anything that can be cooked in 5 minutes or less, especially a real whole grain, has been stripped of all of its nutrients.
And they say that they're healthy and
That's
low
correct.
sugar and this and that all over the packaging, so it's very misleading.
Yeah, but if you think of oats don't have sugar in it naturally.
Right,
So-
right.
So we'll move on to these items. There are really good choices that, on a grocery store tour or as we work more and more together, I can teach you, what you can get in the store. Because nobody wants to go about this and feel like they're going to be starving either.
Right.
But what's a good alternative to the rolled oats? Like something
So
else?
there's a brand called Purely Elizabeth, and she has excellent breakfast cereals and bars and oats.
Wow.
Can you do something the night before? How would you?
Oh, sure. Like if you were to take the real whole oats, Bob's Red Mill has a really good brand or a really good product that's gluten-free as well. So you can just take your cup of oats and put it in a glass jar or a glass dish and add your milk to it, and it will work its magic overnight in the refrigerator. So you can even do that for the whole week. Make 4 or 5 different servings so that it's ready and available to you all week.
Heat it up in the morning?
You can heat it
Or
up,
you
but
can eat it cold?
it'll absorb the liquid from over a period of time, overnight.
Oh, great.
Jackie is watching. She's saying she's riveted and she's loving this video.
Oh, that's nice.
Jackie is
Thanks,
Nina's
Jackie.
daughter.
I know she
Okay,
was.
so let's move on to some of the canned items, and this goes for tomato sauces, pre-made tomato sauces, soups. The reason they can stay on your shelf for a long period of time is because they're full of preservatives. So you wanna, you really wanna look at the ingredients, make sure they're real whole foods, and that they're gonna have a short shelf life. So
What's a good alternative?
so
to
there's a
these
brand
soups?
called Pacific, and they make excellent soups. They're actually in cardboard boxes, like with a wax covering over it.
And you can get it in like Price Chopper
Yep, you
or
can get it in Hannaford, Price Chopper, or ShopRite. Yeah,
Great.
Yeah.
That's good.
yeah. So then this is another very common food item, Nature Valley, very popular in the cereal section. But the second ingredient in this is high fructose corn sugar.
Good.
So one of the most irritating and processed foods that you could possibly have. So an alternative to this would be like a Kind bar or an REX bar. Again, has an expiration date of only about 2 weeks. And although some of them do contain sugar, there are ones with very, very good ingredient choices. And it's a great company. I've studied a lot about the company.
The Kind bar.
Kind.
Yeah, they taste good too. Oh, move these over. Okay, here we go.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about some items that you have in your pantry, and sometimes these sit in your pantry the whole year. You only bake once a year, so they might sit in your pantry the whole year. So I want you to first look at the expiration dates on them. You might take out your glasses and for this process, really, because it's sometimes hard. So we have here Mazola corn oil or vegetable oil, and then a solid coconut oil, and a very high quality olive oil, and also very high quality sesame seed oil. So this item here really is processed, very, very highly processed, in order to look that color, first of all. And if you think about vegetables, they really don't have fat in them.
Right. It's kind of
So this is a very highly processed oil and is not good for you. Coconut oil, on the other hand, is a saturated fat that comes from a coconut. And if it's a pure vegetable or a pure coconut oil, then it's solid at room temperature, but has a very low melting point. So that means you just turn the burner on very, very low or in the microwave for just a couple of seconds, and it becomes a very hot liquid very quickly.
Okay.
So if we're eliminating this, but you want to bake for the holiday and it calls for vegetable oil, then you can substitute it with a coconut oil, and it gives it even a nicer taste.
Yeah, I was thinking that it would probably taste better.
And then we can move on to like a cooking oil, such as olive oil or sesame seed oil. These are both plant-based oils, very good saturated fats, and you can see that it's stored in a dark container so that the light doesn't actually make it turn, kind of rancid while it sits in the cabinet. But this coconut oil really should only stay in your shelf for about a month, and these two oils could last longer. This probably even up to a year. But again, there's no preservatives added to this. It is processed, but it's processed in a very pure way.
Great. And really, as far as keeping your pantry or food storage area decluttered, if things expire fairly quickly, then you have to keep changing them and getting rid of them, and you don't accumulate.
Right.
Like when I sold my house and had to clear out 5 half-used bottles of, whatever, of different oils that were still, they weren't expired yet, but they were there for a long time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this has been so interesting, and I just want to learn more, because I know that I'm sure we can all use a lot of more information about healthy eating. and especially before the holidays as opposed to after the holidays. So I really thank you so much for coming. And I think we're going to post information about where people can get in touch with you.
That's great. Thank you.
Patty's practices in Guilderland, but she serves people throughout the whole Capital District. And I really enjoyed talking to you today, and we'll all look forward to getting in shape with, with cleaning out everything, including our bodies, I guess. So, anyway, so thank you, Patty, and we'll look forward to seeing you for our next challenge on Friday. But in the meantime, we have a few more days. I've heard from a lot of people about different successes that you've had, and if you can post some of your stories below, they encourage others to keep going on this, and look for our new challenge on Friday. So thanks for watching today. Bye-bye.